Greetings, Washington Township community. My name is Dr. Woodson, and I am the proud superintendent of schools for Washington Township. Not only am I the proud superintendent, but I'm also a proud parent of two students receiving an outstanding education in Washington Township, as well as a proud resident. So I'm very vested in the success of this community and very proud to be embedded in this amazing, diverse community. Today, we are going to share with you an update on Washington Township schools, and I appreciate you for taking a few minutes out of your busy day to learn about what's happening in Washington Township schools. It is our aim to create learning environments in our schools that are equitable, affirming, and responsive to student needs. All of the information that we will share with you through this presentation is available on our website in additional detail or as resources to something that we may share that you may want to find more about. I encourage you to access our website for continued and ongoing information. Before we can begin, however, I do want to pause and just take a moment to celebrate success in Washington Township schools. We have excellence throughout our schools in Washington Township in various areas. None of this is possible without an incredibly dedicated and talented staff. We have staff who go above and beyond every day to support our students and families and the academic achievement and success of our students. We celebrate these students as well as the staff through various methods. So I encourage you to stay abreast of the school board recognitions that happen monthly, school communications that celebrate staff and student success within their schools, as well as on Washington Township social media, where we highlight and celebrate wonderful things that are happening across our amazing school district. Our students are very diverse in Washington Township, and we have almost 11,000 students in grades kindergarten through 12th grade, but we also have a preschool program as well. We are so proud of the rich diversity and celebrate all of that brings the rich diversity to our classrooms every day and the rich diversity of our staff. We do have continuous improvement areas of focus throughout the district that come in formal documents. The first document is our district strategic plan, and the entire plan is available on our website, but I can share with you it has 4 priority areas as approved by the school board. The first area is equitable achievement. The second priority area is hiring and retention of high quality and diverse staff. The third priority focus area is on partnerships. And the final priority focus area is on fiscal responsibility. Throughout this presentation, we do plan to share with you how we are making strides towards the goal areas set forth for each of those priority areas throughout Washington Township schools. Going down to a more individualized level, each school has a school improvement plan that will mirror the 4 priority areas, but be focused on areas of improvement for that individual school. So again, we encourage anyone in the community interested in a particular school or the goal areas for the district strategic plan to access those formal documents on our website. But please know that our focus areas and priority areas are those 4 that mentioned. It will carry through focus areas not only for the district, but also for each of our schools. Our community has been extremely supportive in 2016 and 2020 with the passage of referenda that will set the success for Washington Township schools for future generations to come. I wanted to echo appreciation and thanks to our community for supporting the 2016 and 2020 referenda, and our goals remain the same. And we are working on improving areas throughout the district that will have impacts to our entire community. Our goal areas for the referenda that the community has approved are to improve student safety and achievement for our students, better pay for teachers and staff, a continued investment in school and athletic facilities, as well as protect property values in Washington Township. And we are well on our way with securing success towards each of those goal areas. And again, through this presentation, we will share with you how we are doing with progress in each of those areas. Washington Township is governed by an outstanding school board who governs and works very, very hard to lead Washington Township. The board members are Mr. Turner, Mr. Kite, Mrs. George Davis, Mrs. Horth Kruger, and Mr. Fensel. The board officers can be found on our website and change once per year, and also all of the school board meetings, as well as access to information from those meetings, whether it be audio recordings or minutes, so the community can stay engaged, are also available on our website. The school board certainly governs Washington Township, but it takes 5 divisions to lead Washington Township schools to be successful. Those divisions are Business Services, Operations Division, Human Resources Division, Schools Division, and Student Services Division. The remainder portion of our presentation will break down the supports each of these divisions give to the success of Washington Township schools by those division leaders kicking off and sharing detailed information with you. Our first division will be led by our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Taylor, who will share with our community a little bit about student services that we offer in Washington Township.
Thank you, Dr. Woodson. My name is Sean Taylor, and I am your Assistant Superintendent of Student Services. I am honored to serve such a great community here in Washington Township, and I'm entering my 12th year in doing so, having previously served as assistant principal at 2 different levels, and now your assistant superintendent. Our student services team is a robust team, and we offer a plethora of supports and services to our students and families, including, but not limited to, English as a new language, special education, diversity, equity, and inclusion, technology, safety and security, student family supports, programmings, and partnerships, as well as communications. I want to take this time to highlight some of our work over the past year and in the years ahead. First, we've made strengthening our family partnerships a priority as outlined in our district strategic plan. One of the strategies in that is our utilization of a universal multilingual language system called Parent Square. Parent Square is app-based and very user-friendly. We encourage all of our Washington Township families to engage and interact with us via Parent Square, as most of your communications will come through that vehicle. We've also added 4 new school police officers to support our elementary student, staff, and families. In addition, we've updated and renovated our school front entrances with all the latest technology, safety, and security enhancements, thanks to the support our community provided us in the 2020 referendum. Some additional highlights to note include our development of a district equity leadership team comprised of diverse stakeholders. The primary objective of this team is to develop equity-focused leadership supporting the implementation of the district strategic plan, as well as school improvement plans. We know that student performance can be impacted by interpersonal relationships, policies, biases, as well as inequities beyond the school setting. Therefore, our district equity leadership team works together to address some of those inequities in our systems. Our schools each have resiliency teams. Our resiliency teams also center their work on equitable practices. They receive specialized training and work with our Director of Equity and Inclusion, Dr. Erica Buchanan Rivera. On top of that, we started our Washington Township Community Coalition this past school year. The coalition is comprised of families, staff, and local agency representatives who come together to bridge between school and home to ensure that students have equity and access to resources that will meet their academic as well as their social, emotional needs. We also added special education support. Some to mention specifically, at North Central, we added 2 student support specialists, as well as we added school psychologists throughout the district to help with early intervention. We added English as a new language support for our multilingual students, where we have over 80 different languages spoken in our district. We've also launched a partnership with Purdue University for our English as a new language staff, including our instructional coaches, as they participate in an English language learning licensure cohort so that we can ensure we have the highest quality practices for those learners. And then obviously, due to the pandemic, our technology support has increased rapidly so that we can make sure that device access and bandwidth access are available to over 7,000 families. Please let us know how we can continue to support you and your child. We look forward to the 2021-2022 school year. Now I will turn it over to our Director of Elementary Education, Kim Piper, and our Director of Secondary Education, Mr. Rick Doss, in our Schools Division.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Rick Doss, Director of Secondary Education, and I oversee all the schools in the district and work closely with the directors and coordinators of curriculum. Decisions regarding curriculum, instruction, interventions, and supports are determined by the Schools Division. Although we were not physically present in school for the entire school year last year due to the global pandemic, we do have some celebrations and silver linings from the year. Our schools were able to create successful learning environments for our in-person and virtual learners simultaneously. All students were given laptops, and all educators and students successfully navigated the Canvas platform to ensure that instruction was continuing and engaging. We were able to review our curriculum and determine essential standards that we might have missed due to the shutdown in March of 2020 and focus on those essential learning skills and targets. We added additional learning opportunities during the summer to make up for missed instruction during the pandemic. We were able to offer AYS to more students and have a stronger focus on academics and accelerated learning during this time. Student resiliency and life skills were a focus during our social emotional learning lessons and advisory and homeroom time. Connections between educators and students were built. Social workers built strong relationships with families to determine needs. Teachers and administrators worked together to determine needs of students and families and accommodate for those needs. North Central's graduation rate was over 90%, which is one of the highest graduation rates they've had. The elementary schools maintained the third highest iRead scores in Marion County. Our students who were present, whether virtually or in person, and engaged demonstrated high levels of academic achievement on NWEA. Students who missed 2 days or less had much higher levels of proficiency. This reiterates that we all need to work together to ensure that our students are engaged in their learning each and every day. Our district strategic plan has a strong focus on student academic achievement and learning environments. We would like to continue to see our graduation rate increase for all students. Mr. Doss and Mr. Brannigan have created grade level support teams at the high school level. These teams meet regularly to review the students at the grade level and needs the students have. These needs can be related to academics with needed credits to be on track to graduate, as well as social emotional support that may be needed with other services. Washington Township saw the same trends in academic achievement due to COVID as the nation did. Our students had more loss in the area of math and literacy. The Indiana Department of Education labeled math as a priority area for the next 2 to 3 years in order to accelerate learning in this time. We will be focusing on high priority standards in our core curriculum, as well as using new math interventions. Summer learning opportunities will have a heavier focus on math. It is important that we continue to practice our facts and computation during school and at home, so students are ready for the real world application. The Schools Division continues to focus on culturally responsive teaching practices in our schools. One of our main priorities for this year is professional development for all staff members during our early release days each month. The curriculum department is also spending time reviewing our units of study to determine how we can make them more culturally relevant for our students. Washington Township has had an intervention model in place for years. This model primarily focused on academic and behavior interventions. This year, we will enhance our supports using a multi-tiered system of support. This will allow us to enrich, remediate, and provide various supports to our students based on their needs. Many different staff members, including social workers, administrators, counselors, teachers, and others, will be part of this team to ensure that services are given to students and families who need them. An example of a new service that is being implemented at each school is an alternative setting for students to work on underdeveloped skills revolving around behavior. Students will have an opportunity to be in a similar, smaller setting to work through specific lessons to build skills while completing academic lessons as well. These students will then be able to transition back to the classroom environment and be successful when the skills are developed. This opportunity was provided to us through the passage of the operating referendum in 2020, and we thank our community for that. Now, I would like to introduce our Director of Secondary Schools, Mr. Rick Doss, who will give more updates about the schools division.
Thank you, Mrs. Piper. My connection to the district goes back many years. I attended Crooked Creek, West Lane, and North Central. I've been a homeowner in the district for the last 27 years, and all 4 of my children attended North Central High School. As you are well aware, last year we began the transition away from IB and began moving toward our own framework called Elevate. Elevate is based on 4 core principles or 4 core beliefs, and I'm going to speak to each one of those now. Responsive instruction speaks to our culturally responsive teaching practices. This is an area where we've grown significantly over the last year. Our teachers have really embraced this work, and it is showing in the classrooms. Our students need to be able to identify with things that are taught on a cultural level. And what does that mean? They must see themselves in the books they read. They must see themselves in the concepts they learn in order to make meaning of new learning. And during that process, our teachers act as a bridge that helps them learn these things in a culturally relevant manner. The student-teacher partnership is always critical. This relationship between the teacher and the students, teachers need to know when to push and drive students harder. But at the same time, they need to be mindful and cognizant of the fact that sometimes kids need to just know that you care. And so it's a nice balance between those two, but that piece is critical. The learning community is absolutely critical. The environment that we set up as teachers, we want our students to be more engaged in terms of voice, choice, and agency. We started this work with IB, but the time is more important than ever to make that a part of what we do now. And lastly, the professional learning communities, or what we know in our field as PLCs. In this situation, teachers use data from assessments to make decisions, and they determine what students need additional supports, what those additional supports should look like, which students do not need additional supports, and then how do we enrich them while we're providing support for those who need that. But the most important thing is that we provide time for teachers to meet and teachers to have these conversations to make this work go well. As all of you know, life since March 13th, 2020 has been pretty challenging for everyone, especially our students. And thank goodness the federal government stepped up and sent school districts across the country a significant amount of money to respond to the needs of our students and our communities. So what does that look like? We've expanded summer opportunities for our students at all 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high. And we will do that not only this year, but next year as well. We've also expanded opportunities after school. Our elementary has been blessed to partner with AYS and create an after-school opportunity for students at that level. The middle school students will have an opportunity for tutoring support, additional academic support after school. And those high school students who may be behind in credits will have an opportunity to do credit recovery after school as well. In addition, we're in the process of hiring a number of additional licensed teachers to support our current teachers. And we know that a lot of times students don't get things the first time around. A lot of times we don't get things the first time around. And so having another licensed teacher in the classroom to support individual students and to support students in small groups will hopefully foster learning and put students in a better position moving forward as well. We also know that a number of our students and families have struggled with social and emotional issues during the pandemic. And so we've increased the number of hours that we will get support to students, and sometimes during the school day and sometimes beyond the school day, to deal with those social and emotional challenges. And lastly, we're in the process of hiring what we're calling multilingual family liaisons. We know that our families where English is not the primary language spoken at home have struggled through the pandemic like everyone else, but they obviously their access to things is challenged because of the language barrier. So we have people who are going to work with our social workers and our school support teams to provide support and connect and enhance the life of the students and the families where we can do that. In closing, here's the contact information for Mrs. Piper, who oversees kindergarten through 5th grade, and for myself as I oversee grades 6 through 12. Please feel free to reach out to either one of us with questions about our respective areas of oversight. And now, Director of Human Resources, Mr. Matt Kaiser, will share information and updates relative to the Human Resources Division.
I'm Matt Kaiser, and I'm the Director of Human Resources for Washington Township Schools. The Washington Township Human Resources Department impacts student achievement by supporting our roughly 1,600 employees through every phase of their employment in Washington Township Schools, from their very first employment application all the way through their final retirement celebration. We seek to support our employees so that they can support our students and our families. It takes a wide and a varied staff to meet the needs of students in Washington Township. And while the majority of our staff are teachers and school and classroom support staff, every role in Washington Township is targeted to improving the experience for our students. We also know how important it is that our staff reflects the community that we serve. And on this slide, you can see that we do have a very diverse staff, and an important priority of the Human Resources Department is to work to make sure that our staff is a reflection of the community that we serve. An equally important priority of the Human Resources Department in Washington Township is to ensure that we are responsible with the funds that you as a community have provided to us in the operating referendum passed in June of 2020. One priority of this operating referendum was to continue to fund positions that were created with the funds from the previous operating referendum that was passed in 2016. By renewing the 2016 operating referendum in 2020, you as a community ensured that these critical positions remain in place, serving Washington Township students. An additional priority of the 2020 operating referendum was to provide additional compensation to our existing Washington Township staff, and I am pleased to report that we have been able to follow through and make these compensation increases happen for our staff. In November of 2020, $1.5 million from the operating referendum funds were bargained with the Washington Township Education Association. This led to pay increases for teachers, school counselors, and other members of the bargaining unit. As a result, our starting teacher salary has risen from $41,000 in 2018 to $45,000 a year in 2020. In February of 2021, an additional $1.5 million of operating referendum funds were used to provide MSDWT classified staff, such as bus drivers, child nutrition staff, custodial, instructional assistants, and many others, a 4% increase in their base salary or their hourly rate. Additionally, another $900,000 of referendum funds were utilized to provide targeted compensation increases to those staff whose positions were not competitive in the Indianapolis area. Your commitment to the Washington Township staff via passage of the operating referendum has allowed us to remain a competitive employer in our area and has had a direct impact on the quality of staff working with our students. Our final priority in the passage of the 2020 operating referendum was to fund additional positions that you as a community told us were needed in our schools. Thank you to those who participated in developing these positions because their impact has already been felt. In looking at this slide, you can see that we've filled many of these positions already and are very excited about these additional supports for students. However, there are still some positions that remain unfilled. If you know someone who is interested in filling a position, please have that person visit the MSDWT website to apply. For some positions, including bus drivers, we provide the needed training to obtain a license. In addition to these goals established via the 2020 operating referendum, the Human Resources Department is actively responsible for achieving 3 strategic goals of our district strategic plan. These include aggressively pursuing strategies to hire teachers and administrators who represent the community that we serve, improving retention of our certified staff, and implementing an employee climate audit to measure our success. If you're interested in supporting our work in any of these areas, or if you or someone that you know is interested in joining the staff here in Washington Township, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. And now, Ms. Angela Britton-Smith will provide highlights from the Operations Division.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. I'm Angela Britton-Smith, and I'm the Director of Operations. I've been with the district for about 10 years, and I oversee The Operations Division, which supports child nutrition, which is cafeteria services, as well as buildings and grounds, maintenance, custodial, and also construction projects. One of the focuses for the Operations Division, as identified in the district plan, is Priority 4, Fiscal Responsibility. The trust instilled in our district by our stakeholders in 2016 and 2020 is evident. Thus, it is our priority to execute construction referendum projects according to identified timelines and project budgets. The image displayed highlights all project timelines. The QAR code can be scanned through a smartphone camera and will access the district website, which provides the most up-to-date construction timeline information. As a quick review, district taxpayers approved capital improvement referendums in 2016 and in 2020, and our gratitude can never be understated. The images shown should seem similar as they highlight the improvements and projects planned under the 2016 and 2020 referenda. Our commitment to the identified scope and project budgets remains steadfast and priorities the same. It is our goal for our facilities to provide capacity and educational effectiveness, ensure a safe and secure environment that is healthy, and technology access that supports 21st century learning. In the 5 years since the passage of the 2016 referendum, there has been tremendous progress made towards the completion of identified projects. And here's a listing of projects that serve to enhance the learning experiences across grade levels in the entire district. This list highlights completed projects as well as those projects under construction and/or design. Shown here showcases some of the many improvements already achieved. Transformation of learning spaces with modern flexible furniture and natural lighting, safe and secure entrances, welcoming libraries, and upgrades to mechanical and plumbing systems, as well as playgrounds that provide playful options and access for all. Although we have made progress, there is much more to come across the district. The 2020 referendum provides an opportunity to enhance all facility projects, as well as expand opportunities such as athletic improvements, safety and security, early learning education, and district operations. All projects have a consistent process from design through construction to ensure that those commitments to our guiding principles and priorities are being met. And we look forward to continued progress with upcoming projects that soon will mobilize. Feel free to reach out should you have questions. Again, thank you for your support. If you would like further information regarding current or upcoming projects, all of our information is accessible on the website, or you can use the QAR code that is here on the screen. Up next is Mrs. Becky Smith to give an update on the Business Services Division.
Thank you, Mrs. Britton Smith. Hi, my name is Becky Smith, and I'm the Chief Business Officer here for Washington Township. I'm happy to be speaking to you all today. My main focus is the fiscal responsibility to manage the monies invested in the district by the community. The Business Services Department covers all the main financial aspects for Washington Township. Strategic Plan Goal 4A is to develop and implement financial strategies that will best support instruction and operation needs resulting from the shifting paradigm of changes in local, state, and federal funding, including impacts related to COVID-19 and the reopening of schools. To do this, we monitor all legislative funding changes, be it the federal, the state, or the local government, and balance the revenues and expenditures on a daily basis. We will be developing a long-range budget reduction plan to use as a safety net for if or when the district may need it in the future. We are including the buildings and departments during the budget preparation process to better allocate adequate budgets based on student counts and needs for their specific buildings and areas. This includes budgets associated from regular instruction, professional development, student fees, etc. We are also in the process of assisting in developing of a district-wide furniture replacement plan. The method we are using to evaluate current spending trends is preparing monthly financial reports and presenting them quarterly at the board meetings. We are also conducting full semi-annual budget reviews at the board meetings. So if you're ever interested in more detail, please feel free to attend the board meetings or listen to the recordings on the website. To help some areas in the district that have had a decline in revenue due to the pandemic, we have been strategizing to allocate financial resources to maintain their programs, such as athletics. We are currently developing a master equipment replacement plan to help share with some of those expenses with the joint programs between physical education and athletics. As you may or may not know, we have received an abundance of support from the federal government to assist in the learning loss due to COVID-19 and the closure and the reopening of schools. This support has come in the form of 3 grants. CARES, the first one, is Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. That's a mouthful. And that was a little over $2.3 million. And that was for emergency efforts to be able to close our schools, to be able to continue to pay our employees, and then also strategize and plan for the reopening of schools. And that had to deal with PPE supplies, personal protection equipment, cleaning efforts, materials and resources, and so on, according to the slide. Next, we have ESSER 2.0. That stands for Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief. So we have ESSER 2.0 and 3.0. ESSER 2.0 was a little over $10.2 million. And that was for efforts that we put toward academic achievement, PPE and learning supplies, staff, and operations. Some main areas to focus are expanded summer learning, before and after school programs, and one of the biggies is the transportation exploration to transition from a 3-tier busing to a 2-tier. So we're looking at all those different avenues and working with consultants to see what we can do for our district to help those students with academic achievement. ESSER 3.0 is a little over $23 million, with $16 million of it dedicated to academic achievement. And some of the items range from expanded learning programs, before and after school programs, virtual instruction, tutoring, multilingual family liaisons, credit recovery, air quality improvement, technology supplies, additional staff and supports, etc. We also have our strategic plan goal 4C, and that is to monitor the operating referendum to ensure the support from the district, from the community, is supporting the district in the most effective way. We're so thankful for the public support by way of the special approved vote and additional tax dollars allocated to us for specific needs within our district. Business Services, along with district leadership, reviews the dollars and needs regularly. We also include contingencies within the budget preparations for future unknowns. You may view more details regarding the operating referendum or any of our major budgeted funds on our website. Please feel free to contact myself or Phyllis Reidenauer, our district's accounting manager, with any specific questions for Business Services. We'd be happy to help. And now here's Dr. Woodson with a few closing remarks.
Thank you once again for taking time to learn more about the state of Washington Township schools. I certainly hope you will connect with our various methods to stay informed and support our schools. With your support, our schools can continue to create equitable, affirming, and responsive learning environments for all students to thrive.